All right. So, in a surprising turn of events, the Rams are hiring Chris Shula, who is currently the linebackers coach and the pass rush coordinator, for the Rams. He's being promoted to be the defensive coordinator, replace Raheem Morris. Before we get into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me at JKBogan on social media and check out my Unfiltered podcast. Link is in the description below. Let's dive into it. So, Chris Shula, he's got a great. You talk about it, that's a great bloodline right there. First off, he's the nephew of Mike Shula, who was the former head coach at Alabama, currently in a senior role with the Bills. And he's the grandson of Hall of Fame coach Don Shula, who everybody knows. So you have the bloodline there. Sean McVay promotes from within, which I love because this is a position where he hasn't done that. You look in the past, Wade Phillips, move on from Wade Phillips, Brandon Staley, move on from Brandon Staley, and then, of course, Raheem Morris. So now he has a chance to promote from within. I think this looks good on the outside. I think this looks good for the guys that are currently in-house in this, system, in this, coaching circuit. So I think it's a really good look for the Rams and Sean McVay. For anybody that was going to criticize him for going outside, I like that he took his due diligence and interviewed the guys to get to this point. Interviewed guys like Ron Rivera, of course, Brandon Staley. I think this is a better move, to be honest with you. What this does is it signals that the Rams are going to run this same type of defense. And when you really think about it, I gave him a pretty high grade. I think it was like 7.7 or 7.8 out of 10. So I did like him. I'm just surprised they went with him over Aubrey Pleasant, but it makes sense when you think about it because he's been with the Rams since the beginning of Sean McVay's tenure. McVay brought him over from the Chargers after he was a defensive quality control coach, similar to Sean McVay being an offensive quality control coach. That got him going in the NFL. I think it's really fascinating. This is somebody that worked as an assistant linebackers coach alongside Joe Barry. Then he was promoted to be an outside linebacker coach. Then he went to the linebackers coach role. Then he was a passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach. And then this past year, he became the pass rush coordinator and linebackers coach again. Now he's the defensive coordinator. What I love seeing here is this is a guy who has worked his tail off to get to where he is. You can say all you want. I know people are going to say nepotism was involved here, but this is somebody who's had to earn it. He didn't just come right in and become a 32-year-old defensive backs coach, and then a defense coordinator at 33. Not saying that those people don't deserve a fair shot, but the point is he's had to work for it. He's had experience at linebacker, outside linebacker, defensive backs, pass rush coordinator, passing game coordinator. I think it's fair to say that since he's been around Sean McVay his entire career in LA, I think this is a fair hire. I think it's very fair. I think it makes a lot of sense. This is actually really interesting. Actions speak louder than words. And the action here is telling me that they are going to keep the continuity here. They're going to keep the defense that they're running with. Okay, Raheem Morris left, and now they're going to continue to try to keep that element there. Could they have gone out and gotten a different guy? Could they have delved into the McDonald tree? Could they have delved into, the Dan Quinn tree? Absolutely. And I think there's a possibility they do that down the road. But what is interesting about this is that this is potentially a stability move. First off, right now, he is 37 years old, okay? So that's something to keep in mind. He is 37. He's going to be 38 in 4 days. So keep that in mind. He'll be 38 in 4 days. Not bad for, that birthday present to be this coach. But he hasn't been a defensive coordinator since 2014 with John Carroll. So obviously hasn't been in this role anytime soon or anything like that. But again, I appreciate the work that went into this. He is a former teammate with Sean McVay at Miami of Ohio. And, this speaks to me as well. I'm not saying I'm in the same position as Sean McVay. I'm not saying I'm going to ever be in the same position as Sean McVay. But the hope is what my success, whatever leads with my success, I want to bring people along that have been there. And that's kind of my deal. So, I feel like Sean McVay is bringing along a guy and he's giving him an opportunity, a huge opportunity, a friend, somebody who has familiarity with, somebody who he trusts. I think that's a big, big thing here. But this is somebody that he trusts, and going back to Miami of Ohio, being coaches from 2017 to now. So there's a lot of trust there. And there's also kind of the help of he's bringing him up, but he's working his tail off. And I hope to someday be in that position where, say, I get a really good position or whatever I'm put in. I'm hoping to bring along people like Blaine Grisack, Alexis Kraft, Cam Lynch. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to do stuff like that. So that's why I think this hire speaks volumes to me, because this is showing that Sean McVay is being, in a sense, he's being a loyal friend, but he also is recognizing this guy's worked his tail off. So again, we're going to hear the calls for nepotism. It happens every time a coach is hired. But I don't feel like this is what that is. I feel like this guy's really had to work for it, and he's earned it. And it's not like he just jumped right in the NFL. I mean, if you look at his coaching career, it was a Ball State assistant linebackers coach in 2020. And from 2011 to 2013, he was a graduate assistant at Indiana. And then he went to the Chargers as a defensive quality control coach from 2015 to 16. So at that point, he had 4 jobs in the coaching realm, and Sean McVay brought him in as an assistant linebackers coach. He took ownership of it. He did a great job with it, ran away with it. I've heard great things about him just from other people that have, crossed paths with him. And so now he's worked his way. He's had multiple promotions. This is the type of guy who deserves a shot. So I'm not going to sit here and blame nepotism. I'm not going to sit here and say this guy isn't qualified. I'm not going to sit here and complain because they didn't hire the guy that I wanted them to. Because I think at the end of the day, while I would have gone with probably Aubrey Pleasant, I get it. It makes sense. Pleasant did leave. Keep that in mind. I'm a big fan of his. He did leave. Shula's been here from the beginning, and he's been called upon. And, teams have tried to interview him. Dolphins tried to interview him. Look, I'm going to trust McVay on this one. I like the promotion from within. I think it's going to go over better than the last one, which was Liam Cohen for the offensive coordinator role. It sucks to continue to lose your coaches, but Sean McVay creating kind of this balance where he's okay with you going and, going after that promotion and working your way up the rungs, but also promoting from within. This is a really good look for the LA Rams, really good look for Sean McVay. And I'm excited to see what Chris Shula can do. Is Sean McVay going to want to adapt things a little bit differently? Did Raheem Morris try some things that maybe, Chris Shula wants to do differently? That's the fascinating part of it, because Chris Shula has been around Wade Phillips. He's been around Brandon Staley. He's been around Raheem Morris. He wasn't really around much because he was only a quality control coach with the Chargers. And then, you go back to college and he had 3 jobs beforehand, and he was the defensive coordinator at John Carroll in 2014. Aside from that, though, he hasn't really brushed shoulders with, guys like some of the other guys. We talk about Anthony Weaver, right? He was an option. And, you see him and he's brushed shoulders with guys like McDonald, with Vrabel, with Rex Ryan. That's not the case here. You're getting a guy who's really just been a Ram for the majority of his coaching career. And I think that's fantastic. And I think fans should really root for this guy. I mean, besides the fact he's the defensive coordinator now of your team, but also in addition to that, this is what we root for. This is what we root for. We root for stories like this. We root for people who work their ass off and get to this point. And you know what we're going to root for? We're going to root for him to become a head coach. You know why? Because that is the beauty of this. This gives him a chance to do so. I think he has aspirations to be a head coach as well, and I think he could end up being a head coach. The consistent promotions and everything, that speaks volumes to me. But again, going back to the stability aspect of it that I really like is that he's not somebody that was getting head coaching interviews already. He's not Thomas Brown. He's not, Zach Robinson. There's a chance, even if the defense does really well, he might not get plucked from the Rams next year. And if that's the case, then that becomes a little interesting, because they could have him for multiple years like Raheem Morris. They could build some sort of stability and some consistency and some continuity. Then I think you're in a really good spot. So I like this hire. I'm not going to grade it because I can't say. I don't know what Chris Shula is going to run. I don't think it's fair, but I think the body of work speaks for itself. I like the bloodline. I don't think the bloodline should be used against him. And I like the fact that he has the trust of Sean McVay and Sean McVay has the trust of him. So great hire. I'm excited to see how this goes. It's a shocker to me a little bit, but I was doing the research and I got to tell you, it's not really that shocking. Like, the only thing that's shocking is that Sean McVay hasn't promoted from within for defensive coordinator. And so Chris Shula being there since 2017, he's earned it. So I'm curious what you guys think. Sound off in the comments below. You can follow me on all social media at JKBogan. I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care, folks. Later.
Start playing Pick'em or weekly fantasy for any sport today, Jake. Users will receive a 100% deposit match up to $100 if they use promo code OTE at sign up. Start playing Pick'em and weekly fantasy football today with Underdog Fantasy.
Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.